Going.
Okay, we're going to take it up top to the highest position, just like that, and go single handle mode. Okay, watch for single handle mode. We're going to take the handle, bring it through the triangle of the opposite handle. Then you're going to take it back through. The one you came through goes back through the one that came through. It comes through at the end, and you just grab onto that. So, you're through there, and you came through this one, so it goes back through like that. And you're down there. Super. Then we're going to do grabbers. You're going to come from this position and holding and kind of give it a snug. You're coming from here and you're coming up into this position. So when you go back, you make sure your hips don't drop. We don't want any hip drop into that position. Then you come forward from here. We also don't let the shoulder drop back. That shoulder dropping back we'll do later as we do the torso rotation. Just coming up like that. I'm sorry, it's power pull later on. And this is generally an easy exercise, a nice one to get warmed up on for upper extremity. As you do this exercise, you don't want to overdo it, but if you've done this a while and you feel like you're not getting enough, you can always step forward, and that's going to put more resistance into that. Okay, let's go ahead and switch over to the other side. So coming up like this. Good. Again, watching your anchor point. Your neck is relaxed. You always want that neck relaxed as you're doing this exercise. You should be able to move your head around without any problem. And again, your hips don't drop in the back. You don't let that happen. You stay up nice and tight from this position. Good. Okay, come out of single handle mode. So you're going to do the exact opposite of what you just did. Then you're going to grab onto the straps, these right on the buckles there, those levers, push them down, then pull all the way to the bottom. Okay, now I like to get into foot in here, take both of these the same, put my foot in, and then I'm ready to do the lateral lunge. So as I do this exercise, both toes are pointed straight forward. I'm going to come down with my torso as tall as possible. I don't want to bend forward. I want to be tall as I do this. As I do this exercise, this knee should be tracking over my toe. I don't want to come into the center and go out to the outside. I want to track directly over that knee, over the toe. Torso as high as possible. So as I go down, my chest is not going towards my knee. It's staying up. I like to look at the wall on the opposite side. So it keeps me nice and tall. The depth of this exercise is completely up to you. We're really trying to focus on both toes are straight forward. Don't let that toe that's in the stirrups point to the outside. You want to keep it straight forward with that as you're doing it. Good. And let's go ahead and switch off. You can turn around and face the other direction, or you can step on the other side of your TRX straps. If you can, just put your foot through, and you're ready to go in the other direction. Nice tall torso. Toes are both pointing forward. I'm looking at the wall that's on the far side. I'm working on my balance. There's a balance component to this, obviously, as you go up and down. The toe on my stance leg, I like straight forward. Again, both toes straight forward. Watch that one that's in your stirrups. Make sure it's not pointing out to the side. You want that straight forward. And your lunge is directly to your side. Torso toe. As tall as possible. And good. Now we're going to do this single leg chest press. So with this exercise, you're going to go ahead, come out to the end of your straps, get in a position like this. Your torso is nice and straight, and you're just going to come down there. Once you've done that, you want to go ahead and cross a leg and try to keep the leg down in contact, or the heel down in contact with the ground. So as you're doing this, sometimes you'll feel a little bit of calf stretching. So what we're going to do is half the number of these reps we think we can do before we switch legs. We definitely want to hit both sides. So if we are getting a calf stretch on one side, we want an equal stretch on the other side too. Looking straight forward. As I say that, straight forward. If your head's in neutral position, you're essentially going to be looking at the ground in front of you, which is okay as long as we're keeping it neutral. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and switch. So now I'm going to be on my other leg, and I'm focusing on keeping that heel in contact with the ground. My torso is nice and straight. I'm not bending forward at the waist. I'm keeping the body like a plank. Sometimes we get some arm shake, and that's okay, simply because the TRX straps don't provide a lot of stability. It requires your shoulders to stabilize, and that's important. That's what we're looking for, more shoulder stability, as well as good core strength and some strength in the shoulders. Excellent. Now we're going to take our straps up to mid-patella. So you want to check your top, make sure that these two lines are even. You want them at the same height. And then you want to go ahead and bring them up so that one handle goes to the middle of the kneecap, and then you just match the other one. You want to make sure they are really close. Now we're going to go with hamstring curls from this position. You want to go ahead and get down on your mat. You want to have your mat position so the end of the mat is under the TRX straps. So from this position, you just want to get down so your shoulders are on the ground. And you come up here, shoulder blades on the ground. Hold these, put these around underneath your heels. And if you grab on the bottom of the stirrup when you do it, just grab like that, put your heel in there. It goes a lot faster. And I try to do both at the same time. Good. Now we're going to come out with our legs out straight. And then I want to lift my hips. When I lift my hips up, I can check. I just look down my body and see if I can see my kneecaps. If I can see my kneecaps, my hips aren't high enough. I want to get them right there. I should be able to see my toes, but not my kneecaps. And then I just start going back and forth as I do that. Ankles towards my hips. Hips are nice and high. I can put my hands behind my head if I want to. I can put them over my chest. I can bring them down at my sides. Down at my sides makes it a little bit more difficult because it puts a little bit of weight there. So you can just kind of do that. With any of these exercises, if you feel like it's starting to cause increased pain, back off. So as you look at your TRX strap, it should generally be straight up and down from the out position. If you feel like you're pushing it forward, you might want to back off a little bit. And good. Now we're going to reach down, we're going to grab those stirrups, we're going to flip over so that the straps are over the top part of your foot and the handle's in the instep of your foot. You flip over to the face down position. That's a technique that works best for me. Whatever works for you, you can certainly use. So we want to be face down with the toes in. Good. Okay, then we go up into that push-up plank position. We're there. We want to make sure our feet are level, so you can kind of sense one's higher than the other. Adjust for that, and keep her there. And then we're coming in like this, essentially bringing our knees to our elbows. Maintain a solid plank position as you do this. You don't want to have to raise the hips or lower the hips as you're doing this. It shouldn't be coming up like this. It's just straight forward, straight back with your knees and legs. A little bit of separation between the legs so that you have to stabilize independently each leg. And good. We're going to flip back and forth with these. So, back on your back, heels back in. We're going to do the hamstring bicycle. So again, look at your straps and think, are they generally up and down as you're doing the exercise? That's where you want them. Actually, if you go forward, it tends to make it easier. If you go backwards, a little bit harder. And again, we're bringing the hips up nice and high. Good. And then single leg back and forth. As you do this, there should be no up and down movement of your feet. It's only back and forth. Up and down causes sawing of the TRX straps, and it's not good for them. So hips high, head down, relax wherever you want it. Elbows are not touching the ground. You don't want your hands on the ground, and you just want to go back and forth like that. With hips high, you can really feel that in the low back, the glutes, the hamstrings. Really looking good. And this one's a strenuous one. First couple times you do it, it'll really work you. But it's good because we don't do enough of this posterior chain, they call it. Excellent. Looking good. And we're going to flip over and go the other direction.
And when you flip over, would you mind coming from the side of the anchor board?
So we're going back to face down. So we're taking the straps just like this. Handles are in the instep. Shoulders are over, not shoulders, but the straps are over the top of your feet. And you're flipping over face down. Then we're going to go for forearm stepping. So if you're using the weights or anything, I would not use them for this one. So we go from this position, down on the forearm, up, up, crunch. Down, down, up, crunch. Down, down, up, crunch. Up. And as you do it, alternate the order. Don't always go down on the right side or come up on the right side. Alternate each time. So right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right. Just like that. This is a fairly challenging exercise, so don't feel bad if you can't do a lot of them. Just try to perform them properly. And good. Now we're flipping over for the hip press. We're going to go ahead and put them heels in again. So we've got our heels in here. But now we're going to scoot down underneath the anchor point. If you have a neck problem, you want to be cautious with this one. You want to maintain 90 degrees of bend in your knees or more. So you've got that. Then from there, you bring your hips up. Tabletop position. Back down. The entire time, your knees stayed at 90. And back up, back down. When you come down, hover above the mat. Don't go down unless you need to. Up and down. Up and down. It's the hip press. Up and down. Maintain a 90-degree bend in your knees. That's a critical thing. That's a thing we tend to lose. And then back up. And it forces your head forward. That's where people with neck issues have problems. And good. Now we're going to flip over. Go the other side. So toes are in. And we flip face down. We're going for the oblique crunch. So plank, push-up position. And from there, we bring our knees up to alternating elbows. Keeping the torso nice and straight. You want to keep a little bit of separation between your feet. And as you're doing this, really control your movement. This is one where I say don't let the TRX push you around. Really focus on nice precision as you're doing it. I like to just keep a swing going. It is shown where you can stop in the back, stop in the back. That is much more difficult, but I just like to go longer with a swinging motion. And good. Now we want to rotate into our side plank. So, with the side plank, you want to ensure that your top leg is in front of the strap for the bottom leg. So again, looks like this. You want to avoid positions like this, because as we get into the rotation of this, this will allow you to stabilize against rotation. We want to keep it in a single line. So then you're up, nice and tall. Hips don't sag. I don't want to see any of this. I want you up nice and tall. From top to bottom, I want your hips in alignment so they're not back. Nice and tall like this. Once you feel comfortable with this, you can do rotations, but don't try the rotations till you feel real comfortable with the regular planks. Nice side plank.
You know what?
Good. Let's go over, flip over to the other side. And again, top leg in front of the strap at the bottom. Nice and tall. Hips are forward. Hips are in alignment with your body.
It's hard to follow a little bit, but that's what I think about it. It's separate.
As you're doing this, you want to try to minimize the sway of the legs. And good. Back to face down. And as you're doing face down, we're going into the pendulum. With the pendulum, you want to be here, legs level, and you just start to sway your body back and forth. There's no bending at the waist. So as you're doing this exercise, your hips don't or your legs don't bend to the side. The torso stays straight throughout the entire exercise. Back and forth like that. Nice and tall. No side bend at the waist. It all comes from the shoulders with rotation. If you can keep a little bit of separation between your feet, that requires you to stabilize independently. Again, no bend at the side, all in the torso. Coming from the torso. And that's deceptively challenging exercise as you go side to side. And good. We're back to another set of side planks. So as you do this, same position. As you come up into that side plank position, you want to be right here. But if you want a little more challenge, which I wouldn't do until you feel comfortable with the other, you can put both stirrups on your top leg and come in here and hold that, or work it into your sides with those taps, avoiding that sway. Not letting those hips drop, keeping them nice and tall, but again, not back either. You want your hips forward as far as they'll come. I've never seen anybody with their hips too far forward. Good, let's switch over to the other side. Side planks are very, very valuable. We just don't do enough of those. And good. So stay toes in, because we're going to rotate face down for atomic push-ups. And that is a combination of a push-up and a crunch. So, push up, crunch, push up, crunch. You can do crunch, push up if you like. And then with this, if you have difficulties with it, feel free to go into a front plank and hold and do crunches maybe, or a forearm plank and hold, whatever is appropriate for you. Again, don't cause any further injury. Little bit of separation between your feet, stabilizing independently. And good. All right, mats up. Feel free to get a drink. For this part, we're going to stay at the same level as we start off. So we're not going to adjust this. If at any point you feel like you're slipping, you've got dust on your feet, feel free to wipe the feet off on a mat. Oh, the towel is there. We're going to start off with the regular lunge. The way I like to do this is take the stirrups, one hand, reach around behind, put it in like this. You're ready to go. Generally, not a lot of falling down with that technique. Then I'm going to want you to go into the lunge. We use reciprocal arm movement. So you bring that arm across the knee, opposite arm across the knee as you descend. Opposite arm across the knee as you come up with a nice high knee stance. As you do this, you want to keep your torso nice and straight, nice and tall. Coming down. If you're tall, you're going to get a better hip flexor stretch. Nice and tall. You can have your stance offset a little bit, meaning that my TRX anchor is more centered on my left side. My right side is offset, so I have a little better base of support. When I bring both feet in alignment, it's going to make that balance component much more difficult. Good. I'm going to swap out feet, go on the other side. Nice and tall with my position. Going down, descending towards my knee with the leg back. My torso doesn't go down towards that front knee though. My arm goes towards it. Torso stays high. I'm looking straight forward as I'm doing these exercises. Nice and tall. Looking straight forward. Reciprocal arm motion. Getting that hip flexor stretch. Depth of my lunge is all dependent on what you feel like you can do. Don't overdo it, don't underdo it. And good. Coming out of that. And then we're going up. We're going for biceps curl. When we do that, we're going to take our black tab up to the two sewn-in lines in the TRX straps. Then with biceps curl, I'm going to be back in this position. And I'm going to maintain a nice solid torso. Come up, I'm looking at the anchor point. When I drop back, my hips never fall. I'm here. You can rock on your heels or go with your entire foot in contact with the ground. I'm looking at my anchor point. Neck is always relaxed. Particularly with these upright exercises, you want to make sure the neck is relaxed. There's a tendency to try to push your chin forward to generate more force, and it does that, but you risk injury with it. You feel like it's too easy, you can take a half step forward, same exercise. Too hard, step backwards, same exercise, less resistance. You can always adjust the resistance based on your angle and the amount of stability. If I wanted to make this more difficult, I could go single leg and do it that way because my body has to stabilize as I do it. Torso nice and solid, up and down with that. Okay, now we're going to go into the single leg squat. So I'm going to come down, I'm going to go into single leg squat, come back up. The amount I pull on the upper extremity determines how much is transposed to the lower extremity. So if I pull hard, it's going to take care or make it easy for my lower body. If I don't, the lower body has to work a lot more. With this exercise, you can lean back like that. That doesn't really transpose much force over the knee. If you stay on top of the knee, it brings a lot more. And then just focus on adjusting with how much you pull your TRX as you do that. So try to stay on top this way as opposed to bend back away from that. You can alternate legs each time, or you can do all your reps on one side till you feel like you've done a good job and then switch. You can also perform it single arm, single leg. Generally, the leg that's out front is the one you want to hold the straps in. Last one for me. And good. Okay, now we're going to go single handle mode. Again, handle comes through the triangle portion of the other one. You take the one you went through, back through the original, and pull down on the one that came through last. This is the torso rotation. So you're going to get in that good lean position. And then from here, keeping your arms straight, you're going to rotate briskly to the side. Hands end up straight in front of the chest. Toes are pointed in the direction where you're facing. You come back down into that position and go to the other side. When you go up and when you come back down, you're really trying to focus on the arms are straight throughout. It is tough to do. It takes a little bit of time as it feels awkward. If you want, you can go ahead and wipe your shoes off on that to try to see. It looks like you're slipping a little bit. Good. Rotating to the side, toes pointing that direction, fists are directly in front of your chest, both sides. If you feel like that's too challenging, you can step back, do the same exercise, but it's hard to bring the hands all the way around in front of your chest, so you just do a partial rotation. And then focus on nice performance of the exercise as you do that. Feels like it's too easy, the more you get to lean, the harder it's going to be. I'm even having difficulty keeping my arms straight as I do it from this position. And good. So what we want to do now is go back. Similar to the grabber, you're going to rotate and add that rotational component to this exercise. So I rotate, but the hips are high. So I'm rotating and coming back strong. I look at that anchor point, but keep the hips high. Don't let the hips drop behind you. Look at that hand pointing at the ground. Come up strong. Back, up strong. And let's go ahead and switch up if you haven't already done so. Good. And we're going to come out of single handle mode for the swimmer pull. So I like to start with my hands close to my waist. Make sure nothing's behind me that I'm going to hit. And then I drop back here and come up like this. Trying to maintain those arms straight throughout. I'm maintaining that position so it's down, arm straight, up, arm straight. I look at the anchor point. As I look at the anchor point, I keep my neck relaxed. Neck is relaxed. Maintain eye contact on the anchor point. And that keeps you in a good position in terms of posture. And again, neck is relaxed, not bringing your head forward to try to generate more force. When I drop in the back, I make sure my hips don't drop. I'm rock solid in that position. I don't come back and almost throw my hips forward in order to kip up. It's a nice, solid, downward force to bring me forward with that. So we're already in a good position to work the Ys. So same position. And now we're going to come from this back up to here. As you do this, you want to make sure you're keeping your arms straight. Again, there's no elbow bend. If you can't do it without bending your elbows, step back a little bit. It's going to make it easier. If you feel like this is way too easy, you step forward and come back and forth. Arms stay straight throughout. Core stays rock solid, locked in, just like a plank. Good position with those arms, solid torso. You can rock on your heels. Rocking on your heels, some people feel like it increases the engagement of the core. Or you can go flat-footed throughout and just get better traction. Okay, then we're going to flip over, face the other direction, and we're going to go forward for a nice, easy chest stretch. This position, standing relatively tall, and that will decrease the amount of force you place on your shoulders. If with any of these exercises you feel like it's causing irritation to the shoulders, stop. Okay, that's the T position. We're going to come up to the Y, lean in a little bit. Nice and easy. Maybe even take a step forward. Now we're coming up to arms above. This can work some thoracic extension or upper back extension as well as shoulder mobility. If you have shoulder pain with this, stop. This shouldn't cause pain. It's just a nice gentle stretch. Back down to the Y position. Nice and easy in that Y position. And then further down, back down to our T. And relax. Come back out of that position. Now we're going to go into T's. Very similar to the Y. With the Y, we were relatively high. With the T, we're going to come here so our fists are directly out from our shoulders. I look side, they're there. Come back down. When I drop, I make sure my hips don't sag or fall backwards. I really focus on those elbows, trying to keep them completely straight, both going up and coming back down. Up and down. Eyes on the anchor point, neck is relaxed. Again, you can rock on your heels or go flat-footed, whatever seems works best for you. And good. Now we want to take our straps all the way up to the top. Same position we use for the grabbers. So as you're doing that, take it up top. This is not single handle mode. And what we're going to do is rowers. From this position, we're going to go palms down, pull up, rotate so that your palms are facing each other as you go through that motion. If you want more resistance, you step forward. If you want more resistance, you slide forward. And then from here, you're doing it off the ground. Just like that. Nice and solid. Torso is straight as you're doing this. Don't let those hips drop. Neck is relaxed, always with these exercises. Don't over-engage the neck, because that causes problems. Awesome.